Interest rates have gone up, prices are coming down, properties are sitting on the market for way longer than they were a year ago. We're all aware of what's happening, but why? Why is this happening? Watch this video, I'm gonna tell you. So the reasons why all these things are happening are actually kind of complex, but I feel like in order to fully understand where we are going, we need to understand where we've been. What a lot of people don't understand is that when COVID happened and everything shut down, there was serious panic that the housing market was going to collapse. I mean, think about it. We couldn't go into people's homes. We couldn't be around other people. People were very afraid. We didn't know what was going to happen with COVID. And so a lot of people were very afraid that we would see the whole industry collapse. So in order to prevent that from happening, and I'm going to say this in very layman's terms, but the powers that be, the Fed, decided to make interest rates, therefore the cost of borrowing money to purchase a home, they decided to lower that rate so that it was very inexpensive to borrow money so that more people could afford to buy homes, which was great, and it was probably necessary for the short term, but it caused a wildfire frenzy that just went on for way too long. That happened for, a year, 2 years? It went on for so long, and it probably didn't need to happen for that long. So I'm sure if you guys were at all shopping for homes, or if you were in the market buying or selling, or even just looking, you probably understand that at that point, because money was so cheap to borrow, so many people wanted to leverage that, and we had homes that were getting 50 showings in a day. We had lines out the door. We had multiple offer situations. We had bidding wars. We had buyers who would write 30 to 40 offers on different homes and not even be able to get into one. So that is the kind of chaos that artificially low interest rate caused. Now we need to focus on that. So that number, those like 2 to 3% interest rates, were not based on any kind of reality. If COVID had never happened and we had just continued along in our normal trajectory, the numbers would not have been that low. So that was fabricated by the Fed to prevent a housing industry collapse. So that's where we've been. Where we are now is that those artificially low interest rates have more than doubled. They've nearly tripled at some points in the last few months. And that has just put a kibosh, for lack of a better word, on this feeding frenzy that we had of buyers who, were not able to purchase a home. Suddenly they could afford to buy because it was so cheap to borrow money. That has gone away. Now we are, in the 5 to 6% range, and a lot of those buyers who were, getting outbid but were still trying to write 30 or 40 different offers, they've kind of lost their buying power entirely. The Fed has put a raise on the mortgage interest rates to battle the rate of inflation, which is ultimately a good thing. The problem is the way that they went about it was really drastic and really sudden, and it was a result of their poor management of the prior situation, which was extending that COVID artificial low rate situation for way longer than they needed to. So there's all this stuff going off in the media now about how the housing market's about to crash and everything's gonna come barreling down. And the reason why I don't think that that's true, well, for many reasons. First of all, no data supports that. People gained so much equity in the last year, 2 years, 3 years, that there is just so much cushion. Even if the value of their property drops below what it's at now, they'd have a long way to go before they hit, the point at which they purchased their home. Also, loans weren't given out, just willy-nilly. Like, lenders had a lot more stringent standards to hold people to verify income and, their jobs and their debt and all of that. So it wasn't like, in the 2006 to 2008 era where lenders were just giving out loans to anybody. So people who have mortgages now actually have them by their own merit. They actually can afford to pay them as long as nothing drastic in their financial life has changed since getting the loan. The other reason why this isn't a crash is because, it's clearly a correction. Like, if you think about it, it's kind of like We were going at a crazy rate based on something that wasn't even real. That like 2 to 3% interest rate wasn't based in reality. That was completely fabricated during COVID, just like stimulus checks, just like unemployment for people who didn't have jobs to begin with. Like a lot of this stuff was like padding and cushioning just so that we could get through a really unstable and unsure time without our entire country economy collapsing. But like I said, the problem with the mortgage interest rates is that it went on for way too long. So here we are. It is August 10th if you're watching this later on, and the rate is between 5 and 6%, right? And so a lot of people are like panicked and, you know, not really understanding what's going on. But the thing that you have to remember is that had COVID never happened, had that like fake 2 to 3% situation never happened, or had it been just a short window of time and they had handled it appropriately, which they didn't, we would be about where we're at now, maybe a little bit lower. We're kind of compensating for that, but we're not like, it's not like it's some crazy number. Over the course of the last 30 years in history, we've seen rates in the double digits. So being in the 5 to 6% range is still an awesome deal. I mean, the first home I purchased at a 4% interest rate, and I thought it was a great deal. So, and that was back in 2012. So to be here like 10 years later and only be 1% to 2% higher, that's not that crazy, you guys. I forget who I was listening to. Maybe it was somebody on TikTok or Instagram, so I'm sorry I can't give you a shout out, but this woman put it really well, and I believe what she said was true. It's kind of like you're going down the highway, you're the only car on the road, so you're going like 90 because there's no one to stop you. Then you see a highway patrol police car up in the distance, so you slow yourself down to 65 because that's what the speed limit is. And that's basically what has happened. We were going 90 because we could and there was no one to stop us, but now we have things coming back into place that are going to regulate everything. And so now we're going just the normal speed limit. It's not a crash. We haven't stopped the car. We're just traveling along at a much more normal pace. What do you guys think? Like, do you think that the rates are going to keep going up? Do you think they're going to come back down? I've heard from all the sources and data that I study that they're eventually going to come back down probably towards the end of the year, beginning of next year. But I want to know what you think, and I want to know questions you might have. I always try to answer every single one of your questions or respond in the comments, so drop them below. And hey, if you are thinking about making a move in real estate in the next year, I would love to hop on a call with you. You can book a 30-minute discovery call with me. There is a link to do so in the description box below. It is a no commitment, totally free, just like meet and greet discovery call so that I can answer any of your questions. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button so that you don't miss any of my upcoming content. See you next time. Thanks.